It is a fundamental requirement all over the world for a citizen that is of age to register as a prospective voter to participate in an election. In Nigeria, every citizen who has attained the age of 18 has a legitimate right to own a permanent voter's card, PVC, which is the instrument used to cast the ballot during elections. The PVC is therefore a powerful instrument in the hands of eligible voters to choose the leaders they want during elections. Those who know the power of the PVC have since registered to obtain it in order for their votes to count at the polls. However, in the wake of the ongoing continuous voter registration exercise, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, revealed that about 20 million permanent voters' cards are yet to be collected by duly registered voters. This episode of 30 Minutes focuses on the power of the PVC and its importance in the electoral process. Welcome to the program. I am Mitaire Ikpen. Democracy is said to be a game of numbers. And if you are yet to come to terms with the importance of the permanent voter's card in the electoral process, this report by Lydia Sampson is an eye-opener.
The importance of the permanent voters card PVC to facilitating democratic transitions by voting and electing leaders of choice cannot be overemphasized. The permanent voters card enables eligible registered voters to exercise their civic right to vote during general elections. The PVC stores information such as biometric data, including the unique thumbprint of the prospective voter with physical features that protect the information stored in the card. The information on the PVCs are electronically programmed and can only be read or accessed electronically using a card reader. The PVC is personalized for use only by persons duly captured through registration and cannot be shared or duplicated. Eligible voters are expected to use the PVC to cast their ballot at designated polling units during general elections. Without a permanent voter's card, eligible voters are already disenfranchised unless they register and obtain the PVC.
PVC, or voter's card, has always been an important instrument. It is an instrument. Prior to now, there wasn't too much faith in the card because they feel that votes do not count. But as I always tell people, if votes do not count and have no value, why do politicians want to buy it on election day? Why do they mop up cards for election? Why do they buy cards if it has no value? If it's something of value, you give it out for free. But anything of value, you pay for. The laws prohibits you from bribing voters, but politicians insist on bribing voters to try and sway them to their own side. Whereas it should be persuading people. It shows the power that card has, because the card determines who should govern us. It's so important, because without that card, you have no voice. It's a voice, it's an instrument, it's something used to hire and fire any politician who doesn't meet up to your requirements and what to say. So it's an empowerment card to empower people or to disenfranchise people, to remove people from positions of governance.
The youth in particular and the women have awakened now to their responsibilities, which is the opportunity to put in place the government that you want through the ballot box. Hitherto, people took it for granted that, our vote will not count. But because of what INEC is doing in terms of putting technological innovations, and the fact that people are beginning to have confidence in INEC, that yes, this agency will deliver on their mandate. Although there's a downside to it, the downside is the fact that you have the security agencies who often than not are compromised, and they will always make nonsense of whatever you do by way of allowing vote buying, like you witnessed in Ekiti State, which was an embarrassing situation for this country. It's a shameful thing, the way money was, people were queuing up to be bought, their conscience to be bought. And I think Nigerians should begin to now interrogate, this cankerworm, this cancer, rather, let me use the cancer, in our politics, their body politics.
Ironically, a large number of Nigerians who have the voters card do not understand its power, or they undermine it. But in recent times, Key players note that the narrative is changing.
I just think we should all work together to make the country a better place for us, because seriously, everybody's votes count. And when I came and I saw a lot of people, without PVC, I was like, they are the problem of this country. But then again, that's a choice. You can't compel or force people to do what they don't want to do. But I just hope that everyone will make this country a better place for us.
Every Nigerian is willing to go and cast his vote this time around. It's very necessary. Let's have a change of government and see whether Nigeria situation will improve. So it's very necessary you go and get your voters card and franchise yourself of the opportunity of voting to your right candidate, so that tomorrow you don't have anybody to blame.
I actually did my online registration, but I was able to do my capturing and my thumbprint and all of that. So I wanted to do my capturing. It was just capturing I wanted to do. But before you could even get to where they are doing the capturing and all of that, it's not encouraging, seriously. And the officials is not encouraging at all. I think they should even create more systems. Just 20 systems there, and still yet the population there is more than the official.
Judith Abu is a youth who is determined to get her PVC despite several failed attempts, and she will not be deterred by the last-minute rush, which is making the process difficult.
Right now, I think it's very important because it's not like the last time we sold our vote. Most people didn't come out to vote. And now it's more like an eye-opening for everybody. When you go inside there, it's more that there's a lot of youth that came out this time. But the way they are doing the old thing is not even favorable. It's kind of discouraging. But no matter how it is, we are not giving up. We're going to stand, even if it's 5 hours, 4 days, we're ready to come out to vote for our right, because we are tired of the suffering, we're tired of the insecurity, poverty, no job. Look at me, I graduated and I've served. I'm still here doing marketing, which is not favorable for me at all. So I think this, what we did, the decision the youth took this year is the best for all of us. Actually, I came here like 3 hours ago, and there was no chance of me getting, so I have to go and come back tomorrow. But no matter how long it's going to take me, I just know this year I'm coming out to vote for my rights.
She's not alone, as even some Nigerians in diaspora say they travel back home just to be part of the exercise.
I just came in from South Africa when I heard about this massive registration, so I have no option than to book the available flight and came in. That's the reason I'm here, and I want my right. I want to vote for who I want. That's the reason why I'm here today.
But you're in Nigeria?
Yeah, I'm in Nigeria. I live in South Africa.
Okay.
It's because of this I came back. And I want to get my PVC so that I want to vote for who I want. I love my country, you understand? I have the interest of my country, you understand? And that's the reason I'm here. And what I want to tell people, please, we want a new Nigeria. Go out for PVC and vote whoever you want. And make sure you vote the right choice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We're just giving the desperation in the land where an average Nigerian doesn't have anything to his advantage. It's the most important gift you can give to yourself and your generation, to see that you get your PVC. I have made attempts years and years. I would spend days and I couldn't get mine. And I had to come all the way from Gwarimpa to Opare Grand because I'm that desperate. And I'm doing everything to make sure I'm in the country at the time and cast my vote. There is the thought as whether the vote will count or it won't count, but I will do my part.
This is a point where there is going to be a decision making about change of government. And so if you don't have your PVC, you cannot partake of that decision making. And that's why this registration and collection of PVC is very critical at this point in time. Now there is this enlightenment and the sensitization that is going around that. Just make sure, even if your vote will not count, go and get the PVC. Make sure you get the PVC, and on the day of election, come out and vote. And as you come out to vote, you make sure you defend your vote.
Though it is an Achillean task now, the last-minute rush may be indicative that Nigerians are resolved to take their destinies in their hands and become more proactive about electing credible leaders across the country.
It is the most important thing right now in this country. Every Nigerian, eligible Nigerian, at least 18 years and above, by now should make sure that priority for us Nigerians is to have your PVC, your permanent voter's card. I mean, it goes without saying, we must all have a say in how the affairs of our country is run. Because as it is, like we all know, if we all decide who to lead us, it's obvious that whatever decision is taken at the end of the day is collective. So we must be a part of the process. We cannot sit back and allow a few to do that for us anymore. I mean, Nigeria is over 200 million. We can't keep having elections where just 15 million people or so, or 25 million people decide what happens to the rest of the over 150 million. It has to stop.
Well, the card is a smart card in the sense that it has embedded in it, there's a chip that contains all your information. It contains your biodata, your date of birth, your marital status, your full names. So, that chip is readable by computers that are programmed to read those chips. So that on election day or any other time, for example, if you go to banks now to verify whether it's fake or not, they have to read that chip. If you cannot read the chip, or if there's no chip embedded in it, then it's a fake card. But it contains your biometrics, contains your photograph, your address, and things like that. So it's useful in terms of deployment of technology, so that the technology can read that card. It's just not a laminated, plain laminated card, unlike some other normal plastic cards.
Recruitment of leadership is very important to the survival of this democracy. It's very important to our economy. It's very important to our unity. It's very important to our social, being as a nation. So if you allow that process to be destroyed the way it's happening, the way it happened in Ekiti State, and everybody just looks and keep quiet, not taking action, I think we have done the greatest, damage.
They are optimistic that with a genuine commitment and massive efforts and involvement by eligible voters armed with their permanent voters card, strengthening Nigeria's democracy and development and intoning the government of the people by the people will be achieved through the power of the PVC and their votes.
Thank you, Lydia, for your elaborate report. Now, voter apathy has been a recurring decimal in successive general elections in the country since 1999. With the rush of citizens to participate in the continuous voter registration exercise, is the trend about to change? Ekene Ndulwe will provide insight in this next report.
It is another season for political activities in Nigeria, and the political gladiators are already traversing the length and breadth of the country, making alignments, creating new friends, forging new partnerships, and horse trading, all in the bid to capture political power come 2023. In all these, the ultimate power of choosing who becomes the next president of Nigeria, and indeed, who emerges in other elective positions at the next general elections, lies in the hands of the people. But to possess and exercise this unique power, having the permanent voter's card is a must. Having the features of any other identification card, the PVC, which is carved and designed in plastic, holds more than the power of identification, and if properly deployed in the hands of the majority, can change the future of a nation.
PVC is a major democratic tool that can change the course of this great country. This election, 2023 election, is a very important election in the annals of Nigerian history. So we must have to get it right. We have to look for a candidate, more importantly, who is pretty acceptable to the generality of Nigerians.
Not many Nigerians are, however, aware of the power of the ballot, and this has consistently reflected in the voting pattern of Nigerians since 1999. In the 1999 presidential election, registered voters were over 57 million, while the voter turnout was about 30.28 million. This huge gap of voter apathy among the electorate has remained consistent over the years and has even worsened in the last two electoral cycles in 2015 and 2019, hovering between 30 to 35% of voter turnout. What could be responsible for this?
Yeah, I think a major factor is the sentimental belief that the votes don't count. That is one factor. Another one is there is also a pattern in which some people register at locations where they find difficult to vote when it's time for voting. A lot of people go down to their villages to vote, to register, and then when it's time for voting, they may not be able to travel to go and vote in those locations. I think a third reason, in my assumption, because this is not a scientific fact, is instances in which a lot of people register and then you have a large number of people who are not able to access their PVCs by the time the election is taking place. We've had that instances in the previous two elections where millions of registered voters could not access their PVCs before the date of election. And I think with the current registration, it's one thing we should call the attention of INEC to ensure that it's not just enough to register so many voters, but that they should have their PVCs within sufficient time for them to do the collection so that they can use it during election time.
Well, I believe INEC is trying in terms of making people get their PVC. But however, a lot more need to be done, especially, getting it, via the internet. They have to do a lot more. Why? Because of the violent nature of some part of the country. You're well aware that in some part of the country, people go to get their PVC, and you see bandits, and kidnappers going there to attack them. A typical example is what happened in Imo State, somewhere in Ihitobama. People were getting their PVC on the line, and a whole lot of people, armed men, which they call unknown armed men, came and started shooting. So some of these negative factors, obliterate or prevent people, from going over to, get their permanent voters card.
2023 is another opportunity to change the narrative, and the continuous voter registration exercise is a clarion call for Nigerians to register ahead of the next election. INEC had announced that the current continuous voter registration exercise will span between 28 June 2021 to 30 June 2022. One would assume that 12 months would be enough time for those who wish to be a part of the election process to go get their PVC. However, just 2 weeks to the close of the exercise, this was the scene at the FCT headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Some persons who spoke to NTA say the process is tedious and there is need for increased number of registration centers.
The process is not funny. I came here since 5 a.m. and as you can see the time now, I'm not still yet done. A lot of people around here, some have not eaten since morning, some people have been here since 4 a.m.
As you can see, a lot of us have been here for quite some days now. You keep coming, they keep giving you numbers and, making it very difficult for us to actually obtain our PVCs.
Some of us have been here since 4 o'clock in the morning, and yet, look at the crowd. It has not even reduced even a bit. So, I don't understand. Why are there not more centers, at least in schools?
We had a chat with the FCT resident electoral commissioner who blamed the surge on the attitude of most Nigerians to become responsive at the close of deadline.
We have been conducting this exercise for the past 1 year. We have rich people, using every form of media, every form of, sensitization, dissemination of information and everything. We have rich people to tell them about this exercise through various languages, especially in the FCT. After English, Hausa, Yoruba, we put Baji and Pidgin English that we are doing this exercise. People have not started coming to surge in until when they know that we have only about 3 weeks to close this exercise so that INEC will have time to print their PBCs, which will enable them to vote in the next election. So they waited until the 12th hour. That is why the surge. Secondly, a lot of people, we have been educating them here. We have been educating them on various media organizations so that they should be careful not to fall into, falling into double registration. They have PVCs. Maybe somewhere they have not collected them. We have been asking people since 2011 to come and collect their PVCs. Up to now, we still have them.
INEC is committed to register more Nigerians, Alhaji Yahaya Bello says, but intending voters need to patiently follow the process.
The crowd that has been surging, they want to make all this problem. There are not more than 600. I said yesterday we attended 760. So we can attend even more when there is an orderly fashion to do this work. The people here are being misinformed somewhere, I don't know where, that they should come to INEC and surge and collect their PVCs. They don't collect their PVCs when they come to the office of INEC. Today, they will come to partake in an exercise for them to collect a PVC later. Even those who are doing it now will not collect their PVCs until 2 months later or 3 months after, we go through the way of producing them.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has asked the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to extend by 60 days its June 30 deadline for continuous voters registration. The argument of the lower chamber of the legislature is that millions of Nigerians may be disenfranchised if the June 30 deadline is not extended. And it remains to be seen if the electoral umpire will heed to this resolution of the House.
INEC declared that about 42% of the voters' registration recorded since the commencement of continuous voters registration on 28 June 2021 were invalid, with about 20 million unclaimed permanent voters' cards.
INEC should provide more machines because what they have now, one per local government, is not just enough.
In the absence of any extension by INEC, that we urge INEC to extend.
So far, 6.8 million new voters have been registered from June 2021 when INEC started the continuous voter registration. About 4.8 million of the new registrants are recorded as youths. Analysts believe this signifies renewed confidence on the electoral body, and hopefully 2023 will see increased participation in the voting process.
Indeed, Ekene, it is the hope of everyone that the enthusiasm for voter registration and acquisition of the permanent voter's card will be sustained and also translate to corresponding participation during the 2023 general elections. This episode of 30 Minutes has been quite revealing about the power and potency of the PVC, and you certainly would not want to be an onlooker during the next general elections. So go get your PVC, as it gives you the power to decide your next set of leaders. Thanks for watching this episode. I am Mitaire Ikpen. See you next time.